Right now with breaking news.
He is 26 years old. His name is Ryan Schlesinger, and as I said, he is a 26-year-old male.
Can you spell the name for us, Chief?
Schlesinger. At this time, obviously, we're just at the very early stages of this investigation. The investigation involves a range of federal law enforcement agencies who are all working with the Tucson Police Department. The U.S. Marshal, David Gonzalez, U.S. Marshal for the state of Arizona, is here in Tucson. He is at the hospital with his personnel. And so I am presenting this information with a very heavy heart. This is, of course, as I said, a great tragedy, and our hearts go out to this Marshal's family, and there'll be more information to come.
Chief, do you have an idea of how many people were accompanying the Marshal as he tried to serve that warrant?
I know that there were other Marshals who were working with him at that time, but I do not know the number.
And you said that his name is David Gonzalez?
Well, the name of the U.S. Marshal for the state of Arizona, in other words, he's the chief. He is here. His name is David Gonzalez. He is here in Tucson attending to his personnel at the hospital, but we're not releasing the name of the slain Marshal at this time.
And how are the other U.S. Marshals? How are they coping with this right now, Chief?
As you can imagine, they're devastated. And of course that would be expected. This is very tough, and I'm sure they're having a very tough time, as any group of law enforcement officers would.
Are you able to elaborate at all on the original charge, the stalking the police officer charge? What does that mean in that case?
Can't really get into the details. That'll be something that will be available to you in the near future, but it is, as it implies, a warrant for actually stalking a law enforcement officer. It can cover a wide range of circumstances. In this case, it was a felony, and it was just recently issued.
You said that the Marshal was shot by the suspect. Did any law enforcement agencies return fire?
I believe that there was return fire, but again, we're in the early stages of the investigation, so as far as the specifics of that, I can't say. However, I can tell you that the suspect was not injured.
I believe this is the second time in 6 or 7 months we've had an officer down the line of duty here in southern Arizona, the Nogales officer, at the end of April. Just kind of put into perspective how the law enforcement community here in southern Arizona is feeling right now.
You know, it's hard to really put that into words. It's really devastating when you see the impact that this has on an officer's family, of course, but then on their broader law enforcement family, it's even tougher. Our heart goes out to this family, but it also goes out to all of the Marshals who are obviously close to this particular slain Marshal. It's very tough, and it's hard to make any sense of it. But that's what the investigation is for, and we'll know more in the upcoming days and weeks.
Generally speaking, is serving a warrant
from a park, right across the street from a park where children were playing? This could have really been even worse than it was.
I agree. There's always the possibility. I think law enforcement in general does the best they can with the information that's available to handle warrant service like this as safely as possible. But there are always so many unknowns, and that's one of the great challenges that police officers, no matter what department they work for, whether they're at state, county, or federal law enforcement level, they're all facing a lot of unknowns when they do their job.
Fair to say serving a warrant can be particularly dangerous work?
I think it's very dangerous because you never really know how somebody is going to react to that. Obviously, a warrant still means that somebody has their day in court, but there are times when the individual being served doesn't see it that way, and we really don't know what's going through their head when they make a decision to do something like this.
Any informal charges at this point for the suspect? I know they haven't been filed yet necessarily.
Yeah, no, I can't speak to that at all at this point. So.
Will the FBI be taking over this investigation, or will this be handled by the Tucson Police Department?
Right now it's being worked on cooperatively with several different federal agencies, including the FBI. ATF, and others involved. We'll sort out over the days to come exactly who has precisely what role. But one of the great things about law enforcement in this area, and frankly across the state, is that we work really cooperatively with each other. So far, we're here to support each other. We're here to do as thorough an investigation as possible, and we're here to make sure justice is done as it relates to the suspect in this case. So I think that's about all I can share with you tonight. Again, a very tough night for us, but thank you very much.
Chief, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, a tough night for law enforcement
Really
in Arizona. In Tucson, a U.S. Marshal was killed today. That was TPD Police Chief Chris Magnus updating us.
Yes, he did. He let us know about the incident. It happened about 5:30 near Oracle and Glen. The U.S. Marshal serving a warrant to a suspect, and that suspect, Ryan Schlesinger, 26 years old, he shot at those U.S. Marshals, killing one. We don't know the identity yet of that U.S. Marshal. That was about 5:30. Tucson police then were dispatched. They surrounded the house after a brief standoff. Ryan Schlesinger was taken into custody. He was not hurt, even though Chief Magnus said there was likely some gunfire returned by police.
Yeah, that warrant was for stalking a law enforcement, and it was filed recently. Craig Smith is live right now on the scene. He was there during the press conference. Craig, what else can you tell us?
Well, at this point, we're very dependent on what you just heard from Chief Magnus, and that is that they were serving a warrant on a suspect. The suspect had the sort of charge against him that would lead you to be extra cautious that he had some sort of grudge, some kind of problem with police officers. Stalking a police officer was the charge, was the warrant they were seeking him for. And as the chief was saying, it was about 5:30 this afternoon. Marshals appeared. He wasn't quite clear exactly how many marshals were part of that arrest team, but the marshal who was struck and killed was not working alone, and that some kind of confrontation broke out in which that one marshal was shot and killed. And then when Tucson police arrived, the suspect surrendered without any further incident and without any injury to himself or any other officers. Now, what the chief told us is David Gonzalez is at the hospital with his people. David Gonzalez is the chief marshal for the state of Arizona, the chief United States Marshal for the state of Arizona. So he is talking with his personnel at the hospital. The chief did not identify which hospital, but in most cases it would be a Banner University Medical Center, because that is the one and only level 1 trauma center for our region, the type of hospital that handles the most serious sorts of trauma cases. So at this point, most of this neighborhood is cordoned off while they handle the investigation. We are watching what appears to be officers from a variety of agencies doing what they need to do in the aftermath of a shooting of this sort. Again, serving fugitive warrants is a specialty for the United States Marshals. It's something they do consistently and regularly. It is one of the main parts of their mission. But as the chief was saying, serving a warrant is one of the more dangerous things you can do in an already dangerous business of law enforcement, where you're coming for somebody, you're coming to take him in, and he just may not take it well and may react poorly and in a dangerous manner, and that is what we saw here tonight. So again, just recapping an incident that began at about 5:30 in the afternoon. U.S. Marshals come to arrest a man on a warrant for stalking a police officer. Gunfire breaks out. U.S. Marshal is hit and killed. The suspect surrenders to Tucson police after they respond to the scene. He surrenders to Tucson police without any further injury to that suspect or to any other officers. And now we are going through the painstaking investigation that follows really any sort of fatal shooting, but it is especially acute, especially intense when you have a member of law enforcement who falls in the line of duty, as we heard about 5:30 here tonight. So that is the situation. The major streets we are near are Oracle and Glen. More specifically, we're near like 15th Avenue and Jacinto. Many of the streets in this area are cordoned off. If you have no reason to be in this area, please do stay away while this investigation proceeds. Reporting live, Craig Smith, KGUN 9 on your side.
All right, Craig, thank you very much. Excellent work there. And we're going to continue to follow this throughout tonight's newscast, of course, and we'll continue here on KGUN 9.
Stay with us. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
Welcome back. Our continuing coverage now of the U.S. Marshal shot and killed about 5:30 this evening. This was near Oracle and Glen. The suspect, 26-year-old Ryan Schlesinger, in custody. I know Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona, obviously tweeted out earlier tonight.
There it is. It says, I've just learned that tonight we lost a U.S. Deputy Marshal from the District of Arizona. He was killed in the line of duty in Tucson. My deepest condolences and prayers go out to his family and all of Arizona law enforcement. And Chief of Police for Tucson Police Department, Magnus, was on camera just talking about the incident. He said that during this incident, it all happened when the marshal was serving a warrant for stalking a law enforcement, which was a felony warrant, and it was filed most recently, so that situation quickly turned deadly.
It did, and Craig Smith was at the news conference you're talking about with Chief Magnus, and he rejoins us now live from near Oracle and Glen with much more on this turn of events that saw a peace officer killed.
Yes, the chief was very subdued when we talked with him a couple of minutes ago, and as is typical in this early stage of an investigation, really any sort of shooting investigation, but particularly one involving a member of law enforcement, information is going to trickle out rather slowly. In fact, it's almost a surprise to get as much information as we do have at this point. And just sort of recapping a little bit of what you were saying, that at about 5:30, a team of marshals came out here to serve at that warrant on Schlesinger, 26, 27 years old. The warrant, the nature of the warrant was for stalking a police officer, and that was an offense filed by Tucson police against him. But in this case, U.S. Marshals were serving the warrant. Serving a warrant is a specialty of the marshals, but it can be very dangerous work because often people will take it badly when they know someone is coming to arrest them. And when you consider the nature of the crime he was charged with, that would probably put you on an extra edge if you're a member of law enforcement, that this might be someone who is going to react poorly to you arriving at his door and attempting to arrest him and take him in. But what we were told is that at 5:30, this team of marshals comes to arrest Schlesinger. A shooting breaks out. A marshal is hit and killed. No other law enforcement hurt in this instance. And when Tucson police arrived for backup, Schlesinger surrendered to them without incident. He is unhurt, but he is under arrest. Now, we understand that David Gonzalez, the chief U.S. Marshal for the Federal District of Arizona, is in town and is at the hospital checking with his personnel, is how the chief of police for Tucson put it. It has not been disclosed to us which hospital the marshal was taken to, but it would be typical for it to be Banner University Medical Center because it is the one and only Level 1 trauma center for our region. Level 1 means it is equipped to handle the most severe, the most dangerous and of trauma cases like a serious gunshot wound. But now we are just expecting the sort of meticulous investigation that goes with really any sort of shooting, but particularly a shooting where the victim is a member of law enforcement. This, coupled with the outpourings of grief and respect that you always hear when a member of law enforcement lays his life down in the line of duty, as we heard about here at 5:30 tonight. Now, a little bit more about our location. We've discussed it generally as the Oracle and Glen area. It's actually in smaller neighborhood streets to the west of that area. The best coordinates I can give you would be 15th Avenue and Jacinto, and that is about a block from where we are right now. And you may be able to see a little bit in the distance some of the officers still working the general scene. But that is the situation we have here. A U.S. Marshal shot and killed as he attempted to serve a warrant here in the Oracle and Glen area. Reporting live, Craig Smith, KGUN 9 on your side.
All right, Craig Smith, thank you very much. And he's been referring a lot to Chief Magnus. We began tonight's newscast with his comments. We'll bring you more of those when we continue.
Yeah, we'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Stay with us. You're watching KGUN 9 on your side.
Now, KGUN 9 on your side. First warning weather brought to you by Casino del Sol, the soul of Tucson.
All right, we're going to bring you up to date on the weather right now because we do have changing conditions moving across southern Arizona. Right now we're in the 50s and 60s. Radar is showing that rain associated with the cold front moving in from the west. And then we will also see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms as we go through the night. So don't be surprised if you... I got you. And we've got a lot going on here in the studio, so yes, I hear you, and I will go back there. All right, let's go to the weather here for overnight, and overnight lows will be dropping into the 50s. Winter weather advisory goes in effect at midnight tonight and takes us until noon tomorrow. We could see up to 11 inches of snow above 7,000 feet, and then as we go, yes. And temperatures, we will see 40s and 50s overnight. We'll go back to Pat and Stella right now to get back on this breaking news.
Yeah, exactly, Kyler. In fact, right now we're seeing a procession live. We want to take you there. This is near the U of A, near Banner UMC. The procession now with the U.S. Marshal who was killed. You see car after car, a long line of Tucson police vehicles, as this is the procession as they take the U.S. Marshal from the hospital now, and they will take him to a place of rest, probably a mortuary of some kind. I'm not sure which place they're taking him to, but Stella, you see this long procession of Tucson police cars. It's just one of those chilling moments that you see that you hope to never see, but this is how law enforcement stands beside its brother.
This is how law enforcement honors them, honors the brave men who serve us on a daily basis. Arizona law enforcement mourning tonight, Tucson law enforcement mourning. We're going to take a look at this as we head to break right now. Welcome back. We continue to follow breaking news of a U.S. Marshal killed in the line of duty here tonight in Tucson. We just saw a procession of the law enforcement staged around Campbell, and the procession happening as his body was carried from the location to what we assume is the mortuary.
Yeah, we still don't know the identity of the U.S. Marshal. We know the suspect, 26-year-old Ryan Schlesinger, in custody. He was not injured, although he was the one that police believe shot and killed the U.S. Marshal. Let's go live now to Craig Smith with much more detail on how all this went down at about 5:30 tonight, Craig.
Right. At about 5:30, a team of U.S. Marshals came to this location. I'm going to go ahead and step aside and give you a better look at just what's going on deeper into this crime scene. At about 5:30, a team of U.S. Marshals came to arrest Ryan Schlesinger. The charge against Schlesinger was stalking a police officer. That was a charge that came out of the Tucson Police Department. As they came to try to arrest him on that warrant, some sort of confrontation broke out in which that marshal was shot and killed. Schlesinger, once Tucson police arrived in backup role, he surrendered to them without further incident. No further officers were injured, and Schlesinger was not injured. Now, in terms of that procession that you've been showing, that really shows the level of dedication and grief, really, displayed by law enforcement to come out with that display and that sort of escort. And one of the things to think of is most likely that marshal, his body is going to the Pima County Medical Examiner's office. The reason being, this is still a crime, even though the cause of his death would be well known on a layman's level, because this is now a criminal case. It's a criminal case, and medical examiner autopsy results are going to be a key part of that case. So that's what we can expect to happen over the next day or so. And then we can expect to see the sort of solemn processions and funerals that go on whenever a member of law enforcement dies in the line of duty. Reporting live near Glen and Oracle. Craig Smith, KGUN 9 on your side.
Craig, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for that great reporting and clarifying.
Yes, we will continue with our coverage. Stay right here on KGUN 9 on your side.
It's really devastating when you see the impact that this has on an officer's family, of course. But then on their broader law enforcement family, it's even tougher. Our heart goes out to this family, but it also goes out to all of the marshals who are obviously close to this particular.
Some words from Chief Magnus tonight on the marshal who was killed tonight.
And more coverage tomorrow morning at 4:30 on Good Morning Tucson. Good night.